welcome back to another episode of Water Guy Unfiltered. My gosh, it's been a month.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it was a month, but I guess the older we get, the faster time flies.
Yeah, we now said that. I'm like, it hasn't been a month.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been a month.
It's been a month. It was the 2 week. We try to every 2 weeks, and then we pushed.
Things happen.
And then we pushed again.
Yeah.
That's 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, it's going to be next month, and we're going to look back and go, what are we doing or not doing? So I know that I've been busy. What have you been up to? I heard you have a story.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So me and my wife have been trying to go, and we did successfully go, but we've been trying to go to Memphis and then Mississippi, all in one trip because it's like 2 hours away from each other. The area of Mississippi that we wanted to go to. We figured Memphis is a little cheaper to fly into, a little cheaper to stay in. Why not just stay in Memphis? Memphis was cool during the day. That's very important.
Okay.
But the first weekend, which was 3 weekends ago? Yeah, 3 weekends ago. The first weekend that we tried, we had our flight booked. Everything was great. We get to the airport. The minute we park in the parking garage, we get a flight delayed notification, right? And we have a connection in Atlanta because we were flying Delta, and that's like a big Delta hub.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a connection in Atlanta, and it sounds like you know what I'm talking about. So you know all those concourses that Atlanta has.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you're like, I've got to travel about 7 miles to make it to the next gate.
Yep. So we were like, we had like an hour and a half layover, right? So we were like, all right, 30 minutes, whatever. That's fine. We still got an hour to get to our concourse, get some food if we want to. So we get through TSA, do all the BS, stuff like that. And we have another delay notification, another 30 minutes. All right. Cutting it close, right? Cutting it close, but that's fine. We can still make it. We won't have any time for food, but we'll still make it. Another delay.
No.
20 minutes. 15 minutes.
And by this, you're waiting. You're waiting for the flight that's taking you to Atlanta, or you're in Atlanta.
We're waiting for the flight to take us to Atlanta.
Oh, so that you know that you already have that huge labyrinth.
Yep. Once we hit about 8 minutes between our layovers, we were like, yeah, we're not making this flight. So we're sitting in the Richmond airport. It's like, oh God, dude, it's like 9 p.m. at this point. Like, we were originally supposed to board at 6:30.
And it's 9.
Yeah, it's 9. So it's almost 3 hour delay for our flight to Atlanta to connect to Memphis. So I was like, hey.
How far of a drive is it?
Yeah, well, I was like, hey, can we like rebook our flight a week later? And dude, the attendant there was so rude. She like didn't even acknowledge. She's like, I need your ID. I'm like, oh great. This is how this conversation's gonna go. Cool.
That's how it starts.
Person over the phone though, fantastic. I was on the phone for like 5 minutes and they got us taken care of. They rebooked the flight. They waived an extra $100 that it was gonna cost because of the different flight time, and we made it to Memphis. And it was fantastic. But no, that airport situation was a nightmare. It was ridiculous.
Well,
yeah, and on top of the truck stuff that I told you about. Yeah, just a ridiculous month. But,
yeah, you were the victim of a smash and grab where they didn't really grab, they just smashed.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what have you been up to, Paul?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to recap the last 4 weeks. And it's been such a blur. I'll just tell you that we've been working on this one project. I say it's the cursed project.
Uh-huh.
It's a whole house reverse osmosis. So
okay.
It's badass water. It's the best water you can get.
Yeah.
And he knows it. He knows that's the best. He knows he wants it. So we were going to put these, all of this equipment down in his basement. He has this really nice kind of like a utility area down in there. Well, the problem is with reverse osmosis, you make water slower than it can come into the building normally. And then you store it up and then you deliver it out to wherever you're going to use it. Well, it's our worst nightmare of what kind of shower do you have?
Right.
And of course, this is the kind of shower that is probably going to crank out 15 gallons a minute,
Oh,
which is ridiculous when it comes to, how much water you're going to blaze through. So we had to plan for a lot of storage on this thing. Well, the problem with storage is you got to put this stuff in tanks. And the doorways, I had 29 inches to get into this little facility. So, yeah, and at first I was like, okay, this 29 is going to be tough. We can do 30-inch ones, but 29, you're getting pretty doggone skinny.
yeah.
So we agreed, and actually the original plan was he was going to get 1,000 gallons of water. So I custom ordered these tanks, these two 500-gallon tanks, and they're 29 inches wide, so they should fit. Nice. And I'm looking at the dimensions, and I'm trying to go back through my head, and I'm like, no, everything's pretty much a straight shot. Well, I forgot about the access was a little bit down some stairs, and then you had to turn. Well,
oh, dude.
So we wait 3 weeks for these tanks to come in.
Oh, no.
Get them all the way out there. They're all prepped up, and they don't fit. We can't get them in the main door, which was bigger than 29 inches, but we couldn't turn it. The geometry just didn't work. So of course, the whole momentum of the thing just is starting to get a little off track. And I'm like, wonderful. Now I got to start from friggin' scratch all over again. And we didn't have that much space in this area anyway. So these tanks were going to be perfect. So he was counting on 1,000 gallons. Now I can't get 1,000 gallons in there. But the problem is I had already installed everything else because we were trying to keep everything moving. So all the equipment, the softener, the dechlor, all the pre-filtration and all that fun stuff is already in there, and all we actually switched the house over to at least soft water at this point. So it's immensely better than what was coming in, which was pool water, and now he's got really, really good normal water. And so I'm literally like on the phone for days with these tank manufacturers trying to find something that would fit in there. And instead of two 500-gallon tanks, the best I could find are these 105-gallon tanks. So I'm like, wonderful. I'm going to need, a ton of these things to try to come up with an equivalent storage. Can't be done. And space-wise, I was like, here's what we're going to do. We can fit 6 of them in there, which is pretty good. He had like 630 gallons. It's better than 500, not quite 1,000. So, yeah, those things finally come in. I think that took about 8 days for those to finally come in. And then the tanks came in, but the bulkhead fittings didn't come in with them. So I'm out here trying to locally source bulkheads. And if you don't know what a bulkhead is, it's this fitting that you basically you drill a hole in the side of the tank and you put this thing that pokes through it, and there's a rubber seal on one side, and you poke it through, and then there's a plastic washer that goes on the other side, and then you screw this nut onto it. And basically, you're done. You now have a fitting with a hole in the tank that's sealed up, and you can put a fitting in there, and you can take the water out wherever you want. So I had these tanks, but I didn't have the fittings. So I'm driving all over creation here, trying to find bulkhead fittings, and I ended up going to 4 different places and finally got what I needed to be able to put this thing together. Tanks are dirty, because when they arrived, they were rolling around in a truck.
Of course.
Of course. I'm like, really? No pallet, no wrapping, no nothing. The
No pride.
truck driver, huh?
No pride.
No pride. The truck driver, yeah, he backs in here. I knew we were in trouble because I go to the back of the truck, and he's like just rolling these things on this dirty floor of the van. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful. So it took like 3 hours of detailing these things to make them look even presentable. And I was real specific. I had one of my younger guys, and I'm like, these bulkheads need to be installed. I'm like, it goes rubber washer on the inside, plastic washer on the outside.
Right.
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
So he puts all these things together, and I go out there. This was so a week ago this happened. So I go out there with him. We're installing everything. Everything is fitting. There was a couple of normal startup, just like, what the heck is this, head scratchers type thing.
All right.
Get it all together, fire it up, water's coming into them, everything's flushed out, running normally. The main tank, the one that controls the level, we had that one kind of turned so that none of the water got out to the other tanks first, because first we want to just see what's going on, make sure the unit turns itself on and off the way it's supposed to, and then we can open up the other tanks and kind of let gravity just spread that water all over the place. We get that first one up in there, and there's a little drip at the bottom. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He's like, oh, I got this. So he tightens it up, and he's like, okay, it's all fixed. Long story short, I get a call on Monday, and by this point, all 6 tanks had filled up. I get this call, and this customer he's out of town. It was his housekeeper that came in to clean the house while I was gone. She called him, and he reaches out to us like, hey, you guys need to get out there like immediately. And of course, you hear that, and your heart just drops. You're like, oh, this is not good. No. So I get out there. It was basically about 10 gallons of water that had dripped out of these tanks over the weekend. And I didn't know he wasn't home. Otherwise, I would have probably waited on the startup until somebody can watch over it, because we call this the stress test. And when you're stress testing something like that, sometimes bad shit happens. Yeah. It's just how it works.
It's part of it.
It's part of it. You can't leak test everything until you have everything completely full and everything gets pressurized.
Right. So was it leaking from the the bulkhead fitting?
You're gonna love this. So I get there, and I'm furious, because I'm like, what in the heck? So I look, all 6 tanks are dripping at the bulkheads. And I'm like, this is impossible. I have never had a bulkhead fitting leak.
Right.
And now I have 6 of them leaking. And of course, the young guy that prepped them all up, I can't use his name, but his nickname is No Fault. Like, nothing's ever his fault.
Oh, no.
It's always somebody. It's like this new generation of, I got to blame somebody else if something's wrong. Yeah. And I looked at the tanks, and I knew as soon as I tried to put a little Titan on them, and I was like, these are way too tight already. Why is this still dripping? And I look, and I give him a call, and I'm like, the plastic washer is on the outside of the tank. And he's like, well, I think so. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. He's like, I've never done that before. I'm like, that's why I had specific instruction. I literally showed you exactly what to do. That's the one thing I didn't look at. And I knew exactly what had happened. So I had to drain down 630 gallons of water, because I had to empty these tanks. And this is a finished basement, right? So this water, this 10 gallons had gone out. It got into under the wall, into the carpeting on the next side. No. I've got our carpet extraction machine out there at this point trying to suck this up. And that's how I know it was only 10 gallons of water. Not a big deal. It was purified water. Actually, it did an amazing job of cleaning his carpet.
Oh, good.
So there was the upside on that.
There's the plus.
There was the plus. The bad side was I spent 6 hours over there basically draining, uninstalling every single one of these tanks, completely disassembling the bulkhead to find that he had put this plastic piece on the inside.
How did you go about draining them? What did you have to do?
I had to turn water on in the house and just literally run 630 gallons out. I was so irritated. I brought another helper, the sales guy, out there with me, and he knew better than to even talk to me.
Yeah.
I was fuming, raging, angry. He's like, well, how do we prevent this? He's like, I'm like thinking to myself, don't add to my rage. Just don't. I said, we prevent this by not being idiots. This doesn't happen to me. This is a rookie mistake. I was so mad. Geez. So as soon as I pulled the first one out, and of course it was wrong. And that's when I knew. I'm like, well,
all 6 of them.
He's consistent.
Yeah,
every single one of them was going to be wrong. So yes, every single one was done exactly the wrong way. So he misinterpreted what I had said. But we worked that one out. Got everything back. Everything was bone dry. And there was a drain that all this stuff was draining to in the corner of the room. And it's just like kind of like an open P-trap, kind of like a sink with no sink. Mm. And everything is great. It's running. It had already filled up one time with no issues. And then there's a softener in there too. So at some point, the softener kicks on to clean itself after it gets like so many thousands of gallons. Right. So we leave. Everything is running perfectly. This was on Monday. Wednesday morning, I get over here immediately again. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Same customer?
Same customer.
Oh.
I'm like, this is impossible. This is the cursed job. And at this point, I found out that the customer was still out of town.
Mm-hmm.
So he still hasn't seen any of this personally. He's just going off. I'm just imagining him like on the beach in Hawaii or something, getting bothered.
Just stressed out.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he's just going to maul me when he gets back in town. I just know it. So he had his contractor over there, and the contractor, he gets me on the phone. He's like, I don't have time for this. I don't need to be here, fixing your problems. And I'm like, hold on. I don't want to be there either. Let's figure out what the heck happened before we start pointing fingers. So I'm like, I'm on my way. We're going to get this right. So I go over there and I walk in, and there's like dirty water on the floor. Not clean, purified water. And I immediately knew what happened. I said, that drain backed up. I don't control backed up drains. So at that moment, he and I both realized, oh, yeah, this is a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that I had just redone that Monday, was perfect, bone dry.
That's good.
But the drain in the corner popped out. The drain in the corner had basically filled this P-trap up and overflowed. And so at this point, we're just trying to figure out, why did this happen?
Right.
And then he's looking at it, and it's kind of all nestled in there. There's a bunch of equipment and stuff in front of it. And he's like, oh, there's a big main sewer drain that tees in like 6 inches away from this, or less, actually probably like 4 inches away. And that was what had happened. This doggone thing the tee was too close to the actual P-trap. And over the years, it had kind of some solids from the main drain line had gone a little backwards and kind of accumulated in this P-trap, causing it to run slow. And once all of our stuff fired up, it couldn't handle the load, and that's what spilled out funk water on the floor. It was clean water, but it was just hardened debris that was down inside there. So it was like chunks. It was just gross.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
So we peeled back the layer of the onion on that to figure out, and I was like, that's not even code. Didn't you guys you just did a whole renovation? He's like, no, we didn't do that. That was pre-existing. I'm like, I just want this to be behind all of us. Right. I don't want to get any calls, and you don't want to get any calls, and I'm committed to making our customer happy. I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replumb this whole damn thing, the drain, which is not at all what I'm supposed to be doing.
Paul the plumber. For free.
Yep. And that's why we're also plumbers. So he was kind of like, that's pretty impressive that you're going to jump into basically a $2,000 plumbing add-on for free, which that's what I did today.
Yeah.
So that's why I was all scrambling, trying to make sure that we didn't push today any further.
Is that Loctite on your hands then?
Yeah. I've got the PVC glue and the primer. I look like a mechanic covered in like Smurf paint.
Let's say I saw the blue. I was like, I know that's not paint. That's got to be Loctite or something of the sort.
That is blue. We call it rain or shine PVC glue. Basically, it works on even moist PVC. Like sometimes you'll run into doing something and there's already something splashed on it. Some glues don't work if there's water already on them. This stuff is mean. It sticks to everything.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm all decorated.
There you go.
Well, now you're all caught up on me, and I'm kind of caught up on you. You had a vacation. You haven't had the vacation. You postponed. Did you get the vacation?
We got the vacation.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
That you did your whole vacation postponement, and you still had it, and then we had the podcast.
Yep. The episode today.
Yes. So, the episode today is, I'm going to grab one. Bear with me, I'm walking. I'm coming back. I got so busy telling my story, I didn't get one of my main notes. There we are.
Got a live travel vlog from Paul. Wow.
Yeah, that tells you how big the office is. Didn't take me that long. Today, the nitrogen cycle, DaBaDee. That's my own.
DaBaDee.
DaBaDee. It'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
So, we're always trying to come up with, okay, what new content are we going to talk about? Because I don't want to ever repeat something that we've already done unless there's just a doggone good reason for it.
Right.
So a lot of stuff that we do is just full testing, a whole list of contaminants. So for the next couple of episodes, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of dig into these lesser known things that we also test for.
I like it.
Because we've done all the normal things. So today we're going to be talking about the nitrogen cycle, specifically like nitrogen, nitrates and nitrites. So it's such an interesting thing. It actually takes me back to, I'm going to date myself now, but the 90s. Yeah. When were you born? What year?
99. I know it hurts.
My gosh.
I know it hurts. I know.
So my stories are before you were even thought of.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was managing a pet shop of all places after I graduated from NC State and was waiting for all my rejection letters to come back because nobody was hiring an engineer with no experience. But unless you get hired, you don't have experience. It's a very wicked cycle.
It's another cycle that's, yeah.
Yeah, not the nitrogen. That's the naughty cycle. But I was working in the pet shop, and I've always loved exotic animals. Like the more bizarre they are, the more appealing for some reason. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things that my mom loved like lizards and things like that. Right. My dad is not a fan of lizards and snakes.
My dad's the same way.
Really?
He hates reptiles.
Yeah, I never could figure that out.
I don't know.
My mom's like, oh, this lizard. And she had a lizard and she had a tortoise. And my dad was just like, oh, great. I'm like, you got dogs.
Like, they're fine. Reptiles are fine.
You can handle a dog. You can handle a friggin' turtle in a tank. Yeah. So at this pet shop, I was the manager there. And it was one of those small ones. It wasn't like a PetSmart or any of these, where you got to follow corporate rules. All right. So part of the deal was, look, I'm gonna work here, but I want to have like free ability to do whatever the hell I want to do in terms of bringing in new specimens. So I started building up a clientele of people. They kind of heard about Crazy Paul, and like I had people coming in, and back when you could still buy them, they were like, "Yeah, I need some piranhas." I want what else can you get? And I'm like, well, I can get some gars. And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm talking about fish now. Uh-huh. So I had this whole following of people that would literally like custom order stuff and come pick it up. So I built the whole little mom and pop place up to this really nice little niche in the middle of nowhere, which was pretty cool. But obviously when you're bringing in all sorts of exotic fish, you got to know how to take care of fish. Right. Because not all fish are the same. You got freshwater fish, you got saltwater fish, you got brackish fish, and you cannot just put them all in the same water or they'll all be dead. And when you're dropping, hundreds of dollars on these things, you got to kind of figure it out. So where I'm going with all this is, have you ever had a fish tank? Yeah. Do you remember, how many fish did you have in it?
Oh, goodness.
A lot or a little?
A little.
Little, like goldfish, or are you talking like neon tetras?
Like goldfish, beta fish level kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, like basic, just water in a bowl.
Yeah, like PetSmart. You go to PetSmart and pick up a few. Like, yeah.
So there's that. There's the fish that'll literally survive in a mud puddle. Uh-huh. And then there's the ones that they require a filter. Mm-hmm. Like you got to have moving water to some degree. The water has to be clean and there has to be some oxygen in it. Well, one of the big things that will kill fish is ammonia. The second big thing that kills fish is nitrates. Okay. So this will all make sense in a second. Fish eat, right?
Oh, yeah.
You used to feed them.
Don't we all?
Don't overfeed them, because what does fish waste come out as? Mainly ammonia.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So, yep, and that's how we lead into today's episode. So fish waste, and this is all going to make sense in terms of water also, because this is how fish live. So you can imagine that this is the natural process on the water that most of us drink, because most of that water comes from lakes, rivers, places like that, unless you're getting it from underground sources. So if you're like, we get ours from the James River. So it's an ecosystem, at least, a sick one, but it's an ecosystem. But if you could imagine, so the ammonia comes out first, and ammonia, let me back up. What is ammonia?
What is ammonia?
Ammonia is NH3, nitrogen and 3 atoms of hydrogen. Or you can have ammonium, which is nitrogen and 4 atoms of hydrogen. Now, ammonium exists primarily in areas where there's really low pH. Ammonia exists where there is more of a higher pH. So just know that it's nitrogen and hydrogen bonded. And it's interesting because we need nitrogen. Now, in our air, you scuba dive? I can't remember if I asked you that or not.
No, but I want to.
Yeah, you got to scuba dive. It's like going to a different planet. As you can tell, I love fish and aquariums and ecosystems and stuff. So when you're scuba diving, you're not breathing compressed oxygen. A lot of people think you got like an oxygen tank. You don't. You have an air tank in most cases. And this air tank is literally the air that's outside right now that's been put through sometimes through a dryer and to keep the humidity from getting all in there and you get liquid in your tank because that kind of sucks. But it takes the regular air and it puts it in a tank and it compresses so you can draw out a little bit at a time and basically have regular old air coming out on you when you're scuba diving. But our regular air is about 80% nitrogen, which is interesting. So it's a very plentiful element out there, but you can't really use it in the air. It's there. It's more like an inert gas. Now, it can jack you up in a bad way if you go scuba diving and you stay down too long. You ever heard of the bends?
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of the bends.
So this is off topic, but this is going so well. I can't stop now.
Keep going, Paul.
I'm going to tell, because I'm a scuba diver. I was a scuba. I haven't had time to friggin' scuba dive, and I can't remember how long. But anyway, when you scuba dive, you're breathing compressed air, which is about 80% nitrogen. What happens is that normally when we're running around here out in the outside, you breathe 80% nitrogen, but your body through normal respiration actually gets rid of it. You breathe it in, it doesn't build up in your tissues because you're actually getting rid of it as fast as you're breathing it. It's just we're borrowing it.
Gotcha.
Here's the problem. When your body is under pressure, but like under pressure, like not, your boss is yelling at you pressure, but when you're 50, 60 feet below the surface below the surface in water, you got a lot of pressure on your body. Your body works a lot differently. So it's not that you can stay down until you run out of air in the tank. A lot of times you can only stay down until the nitrogen in your blood reaches a maximum saturation. So there's all sorts of tables, and most people use computers, but I don't know anybody that uses tables anymore, but you got dive computers that will literally like track, and they know, okay, you're breathing 80% and you've been down at this depth for so many minutes and this depth for so many minutes. And what happens is when you're down under pressure, your body can't get rid of the nitrogen like it does at, regular outside.
Because it's in like different pressure circumstances.
It can't like we breathe in oxygen and we release carbon dioxide. It's kind of like that where you're breathing in the nitrogen, but you're not getting rid of the nitrogen as fast as you're bringing it in.
Gotcha.
So you have to come up before you reach that basically that maximum nitrogen level, because what happens is it starts to build up in the blood, but your blood is under pressure. Well, if you all of a sudden freak out and a big shark comes at you and you're like, I'm getting the heck out of here, and you rocket to the surface, all that nitrogen that's in your blood. It's like shaking up a Coke bottle and taking the cap off. All of a sudden it goes from being dissolved in the blood to now all of a sudden you've got embolisms and it bubbles all in your veins, and you're basically, if you're not dead, you're wishing you're dead.
Yeah.
It's in your joints. You are jacked up. They got to put you in a hyperbaric chamber and basically recompress you, and then slowly like just give you a low nitrogen environment so that your body can try to get rid of it. But I've heard you're never the same.
Oh, wow.
Once it's in there, once you get, they call it getting bent, the bends. So they're like, once you get bent, you're done. You're never going to be the same after that. You're always going to have pain.
Yeah, because it can like affect your brain. I can imagine too.
Oh yeah, bubbles in the brain.
Yeah, brain bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no bueno. So anyway, gosh, we got way off track there. But we talked about nitrogen, and it's basically it's abundant in the environment. We can't really use it in the form that it is in, so it has to be really made into a form that can be used. And ammonia is one of the easiest forms. So like I said, NH3, that's ammonia. Pretty stable, but it's not really something we want to be around.
Right.
We will talk about that right after this break, because believe it or not, we've already got to 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
So don't go away. We're going to take a few breaths here. We're going to be right back. More when we return. Hi, I'm Paul, host of Water Guy Unfiltered. If you're looking for fun topics like landfill juice and the history of coffee mixed in with things like haloacetic acids and the forever chemical PFAS, you've come to the right place. Check out Water Guy Unfiltered and learn the raw truth about water stuff, where it's educational and informative with a shot of humor just to keep it fun. We started as a weekly radio show, and now we're podcasted everywhere. Join us. All right. Whoa, we took a few breaths there.
Yeah.
Well needed. We got so pumped up about the scuba diving thing that Ethan had to go pull up some pictures on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, like this illustration of a nitrogen bubble being in the blood vessel is pretty crazy, and like this joint separation. There's like, to scale at least, probably at least like a 1 or 2 centimeter joint separation here.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They say that it's like the worst torture you could imagine. You're just being basically like pumped,
ripped apart.
Yeah, you're being inflated.
Ugh,
terrible.
That's
so
crazy.
Don't get bent. Don't get bent. Pay attention to your dive computer. But anyway, assuming you're not a diver, you're probably wondering, okay, tell me about ammonia.
Yeah.
So ammonia, like we said, is it's created, a big part of it is the nitrogen. So ammonia is one of those things that it's very useful. It's in a usable form for plants. So a lot of farmers use ammonia actually as their fertilizer, as a lot of like fertilizer.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you see these anhydrous ammonia, basically, it's a fancy word for ammonia mixed with water, in these big old tankers, and they drive these tankers across the field, and they just spray this stuff down. It's just fertilizer.
Yeah.
Now, it has a horrendous smell.
Oh, of course.
As you might imagine.
Yeah.
But plants love it, and without plants, we die.
Yeah.
So, back to the fish thing. So when fish eat, they produce primarily their first biggest waste besides just excess solids is ammonia. So fish, if you've ever had like a fish tank with filters, you're constantly checking your ammonia level. And you're like, oh my gosh, ammonia is too high. You freak out and you put some drops in there. Or if you're smart, you kind of calm down and you get the bacteria. So you can actually buy these nitrifying, they call them nitrifying bacteria. And it's basically a bottle of bacteria. And you pour it in your tank, and you're probably thinking, well, why the heck would I intentionally put bacteria in my aquarium?
Right.
Because ammonia breaks down into nitrite. That's the second form in the nitrification process. And it does that because you have these bacteria called nitrosomonas. And yep, you'll remember that one for later when you're telling bedtime stories. So nitrosomonas eat ammonia, turn it into nitrite, just simplifying everything. And that's still in your water because that's where the fish are. Unfortunately, nitrite for fish is just as deadly as ammonia.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So then you have to make sure. So the first cycle of panic, we called it, was you see your ammonia levels and you freak out knowing your fish are going to die, and you start dumping all this stuff in there, and then the ammonia levels start to come down, and you're going, oh my gosh, thank goodness, and then your fish start dying.
Yep.
And you're going, what in the world's going on? And then you test for your nitrites, and your nitrites are off the chart because your nitrosomona bacteria has finally done its job, and it's basically eaten the waste and converted it to its first stage. So now that it's nitrite, which is deadly, like I said, another bacteria called the nitrobacter gets involved, and it eats the nitrite and turns it into nitrates. Nitrates don't impact the fish because nitrates are used by all the aquatic plants. Yes.
Okay.
So we have an aquaponics. Have you ever heard of aquaponics? It's not hydroponics, which a lot of people are like, oh yeah, no, that's not the same thing. So aquaponics is, and we have one of these actually. I set one of these things up. I didn't set one of these up. I was part of a setup. It's actually a pretty amazing thing. They have like giant greenhouses, and these greenhouses have basically aquariums, like big lagoons full of fish. And these fish are crapping, and they're making ammonia. And the whole goal of the thing is to build up a natural ecosystem so that your nitrosomona and your nitrobacter populations can eat the fish waste and turn it into nitrates. Because in this facility, you got fish at one end, and you've got plants at the other end.
Right.
So the fish are eating and crapping and eventually fertilizing the plants. The plants are being harvested and sold. The fish are eating the plants. And then we're ultimately eating the fish and the plants. It's the craziest thing.
Right.
So that's an aquaponics setup. And yeah, they had this one particular one, they have really, really stringent inlet water quality because of course with evaporation and things, it's kind of like a pool.
Right.
When you got that kind of water going around and you're doing different things, you got to make sure that the water that comes in is nice and I wouldn't say pure, but in some cases it has to be pure so that you can add what you want, because sometimes like sodium content, pretty much sodium content is one of the worst things on most of these fish. So anyway, yeah, you can you can build an entire working ecosystem that goes all the way from fish down to plants and back to fish again. And that is a healthy aquarium. So if anybody's got an aquarium and you now go, that's what happened, I'll give you the words of advice. Don't ever just completely drain your water down, because you probably have a good amount of bacteria in there. Get a good filter, and don't start with a massive load of fish. All you're going to do is you're going to create a spike of ammonia, then you're going to create a spike of nitrite, and you're going to kill most of your fish. Start with a lower load of fish and get your healthy cycle going, and then you can add fish gradually, and you'll never have a problem.
Gotcha. Because it'll all just balance out over
Don't
time.
get greedy at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yep. So bacteria they're required. If you don't have those bacteria, you're stuck with ammonia, and nothing will ever live. Your plants will be okay. Some of them will eat ammonia directly, but most of them are nitrate feeding plants. So yeah, start small, be patient, especially when you're dealing with like the exotic fish, like the ones I used to sell. So I wouldn't sell somebody like a whole school of fish. I'd be like, oh, you get 2.
Yep.
You get 2. And when these live for 4 weeks, then you can get another one. And then you can get another one. And everybody was so happy. They're like, man, at the beginning, you were pissing me off. I just wanted everything now. And they're like, at the end, I have such a healthy ecosystem that I haven't lost a fish ever. And that's kind of like, that's pretty cool. So that's how the nitrification cycle works in aquariums. And it's actually really simple, and it does the same thing in our natural environment. So the difference between ammonia and nitrite, the nitrous ammonia bacteria convert to NH3 to NO2, which is nitrate. It's nitrogen and 2 oxygen atoms. And then when the nitrobacter bacteria eat the nitrite and turn it into nitrate, now it's NO3. So you go from having 2 oxygen atoms to having 3. So you've been oxidized. So that's pretty much how it works. So ammonia is pretty stable. Nitrate likes to convert to other things. Nitrite is reactive and it likes to convert to things. So nitrite is kind of like that mid-stage one, and that's the one that causes a lot of problems. But it can do some good things. So you're probably wondering, well, that's fine and dandy. I learned a lot about fish, but what about me? The health impacts. And during the break, you probably heard a little bit of music, DaBaDee. That's where the title comes from. Because in the lyrics, I was trying to think of a way I could insert it into the lyrics, but I don't sing, so that got shot out the window. Nitrite is the reason for methemoglobinemia. I knew I was going to screw that up. Methemoglobinemia. You ever heard of it?
What'd you call me? I don't take kindly to insults, Paul.
I can't remember the lyrics on there. You've heard them during the break, but it talks about a guy who's blue. And I say, because he's got methemoglobinemia. It's terrible to joke around about, but they call it blue baby syndrome. Yeah, I know. You're like, that was pretty bad that you just turned that horrible affliction into something funny on a podcast.
Well, now I need to visualize it.
Now you're going to look at blue baby on.
Look at that top result.
Yep. Blue baby. And why did they call it blue baby syndrome? Because literally the baby turns blue, as you can see in the pictures.
I see this, yes.
And the baby turns blue because when we get cut, what color is our blood?
Red.
Red. You had to think about that for way too long.
Yeah, because I feel like you're about to tell me something.
Yes. You know why it's red?
Because it reacts with the air.
Yes, because your blood is designed to basically grab a hold of oxygen. And when it's oxygenated, it's red. So you'll never see anybody bleeding blue unless they're
an alien
in a vacuum. I guess now you got me thinking, what if I put my arm in a vacuum and I cut myself? Will it come out blue? It'd probably hurt like hell.
Would it even come out?
Oh, it'll fly out of there.
Oh, if it's a vacuum.
Yeah, if it's a vacuum, that'd be bizarro.
That's true.
So okay, it would come out red if it's normal environment. But when your blood does not have the ability to grab a hold of the oxygen, it's blue. So hence the blue baby syndrome. So what ends up happening is the nitrite interrupts the blood's ability to carry oxygen, and it basically asphyxiates the baby. You're sitting there with no oxygen. Terrifying, isn't it? And it hits babies because they're smaller. They're more sensitive to this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just, you know what it also reminded me of? Carbon monoxide. Yeah. That's so my brother-in-law is a doctor. So I get to ask all these bizarre medical questions of him all the time. Like last week, what did I say? I was like, did you know that scopolamine used to be a truth serum? And he's like, what? Because scopolamine is seasick, like motion sickness medication. True. And I said, do you know why it was actually the preferred method for extracting the truth from people for a very long time? And he's sitting there wondering if I'm like playing with him because he's thinking, I'm a doctor. I've never heard of this. I said, it was the preferred method because it was effective and it wiped your memory of the interview. So you wouldn't even remember that they were asking you questions and you wouldn't remember what you said. That's bizarre, isn't it? And
That's
I'm thinking,
crazy.
So I'm thinking all these cruise ships that are like dosing people up with scopolamine, like all the, the motion sickness patches. These people get off the boat and they don't know what the hell just happened for the last 7 days, but they've been telling the truth. Yeah. Things that make you go,
Huh.
Yeah. See, I went way off track with that one. But so the carbon monoxide, that's where I went off the track. I didn't realize, you see these movies of people that are trying to off themselves to get in a car and they put the hose in there from the exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
Or their worst case, they're sleeping in bed like, what was that? The Bates Hotel, the Bates Motel series? Remember that one?
You and I are thinking of something different.
What were you thinking of?
Have you seen the movie Midsommar?
No.
Spoiler alert.
Oh boy.
In the beginning of the movie, one of the main characters has a sister, and she kills herself and her parents in their house by pumping exhaust fumes into the house and sealing the house off.
You and I were on the exact same frame of mind because, spoiler alert, the series Bates Motel, that's exactly what ended up happening. He sealed up, closed the windows, and he broke the furnace so that it was basically pumping carbon monoxide in, so it killed him and his mom. Yes.
Dang.
It was creepy. But I talked about the carbon monoxide because that's how it works. The carbon monoxide does the same thing. It prevents your blood from being able to carry oxygen, and you basically suffocate. But here's the problem. It's not like in the movies where, you're almost gone. They catch you while you're still coherent, and then they bring you outside. Oh, you're fine. Okay, I got fresh air. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Once you get that, you're screwed. Yeah. You have to be on almost a pure oxygen for a very long time to try to basically respirate out the carbon monoxide to the point where your blood is back to normal.
Wow.
And if you get to a certain point, you're just dead. You're not going to have enough. You're not going to be able to carry enough oxygen. You're going to be brain dead.
Jeez.
You may think you're okay because you're awake, but you're dying. You're literally, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So carbon monoxide scares the shit out of me, for good reason. But yeah, all that out of methemoglobinemia. Nailed it, didn't I? Blue baby syndrome. So that's one of the things from nitrite. Most of these weird things happen from nitrites. Like I said, they're the reactive one of the trio in the nitrification. Okay. Nitrite also breaks down into nitrosamines. Most of the nitrosamines are carcinogens, cancer causing. And we didn't get into what types of cancers on that, but there's an upside to nitrite. Nitrite creates nitric oxide. You know what nitric oxide is? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking nitrous oxide, like you put in a supercharged car.
That's what I thought.
Not the same thing.
No, the numbers aren't adding up. Yeah.
So
what is nitrous oxide?
Nitrous oxide is what you put in the car, also known as laughing gas.
Yeah.
Which is also what they use currently in Ready Whip as the propellant. Yep, the gas. You heard of Whippets? I'm pretty sure.
Unfortunately, I have.
He smiles knowingly. So I guess you inhale the nitrous oxide because that's what they used to use for dental procedures before they had ways of making it so that it didn't hurt so damn bad. So yeah, nitrous oxide is much different. It knocks you out, and there was a great movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg where I was like, is that real? Because he got injured, and I can't remember if he got shot or stabbed or he had a piece of shrapnel in him. But this girl was trying to help him, and he had to have her perform surgery. But he's like, go to the store, this is what you need to buy. And it was 10 or 15 cans of Ready Whip. And he's just just sucking all the gas out of them one by one after he told her what to do. He's like, after I get knocked out, then go ahead and do it. So I was like, is that real? And yes, they actually still use nitrous oxide in the Ready Whip.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, I know this podcast, I'm probably going to get sued for somebody going off and having way too much fun. So nitric oxide, on the other hand, is a much different thing. It's actually good for human health. It's good for lowering blood pressure.
Okay.
I was wondering how to talk about the next thing that it's used for. So how does it lower your blood pressure? Vasodilation.
Okay.
It makes vessels relax and gorge with blood. You know where I'm going?
Think so.
Yes, women don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll just throw it out there. It's a hard topic to talk about.
There it is. All right.
Okay. If you don't have nitric oxide in a healthy production of that in your body, you have ED, most likely.
Okay.
And there are medications and things for that, but nitric oxide it's a requirement for normal erectile health.
Okay.
There, I've said it all medically. No snickering.
Now we're scientific.
I can't help but snicker. But nitrite and nitrate, both of them, actually help with digestion. So we've got a couple of positive things here, a couple of negative things, but overall, it's not a terrible thing, but it can mess you up. They can actually protect you against certain bacteria. So, kind of like what I said before, when you mix your nitrate with amino acids and high heat, you get nitrosamines. Yeah. This brings me to the sad part.
Oh.
Not sad for me. It might be sad. So you didn't really understand when you're mixing nitrates with amino acids and high heat. Typically, meats have amino acids. Highly processed meats. Here we go. I got my list right here.
Processed meat.
Not even highly processed, just processed meat. Because when you are eating processed meats, you are getting dosed with nitrates and nitrites. All right, here we go. Bacon, bologna, canned meat, like Spam. Or what's the other? Spam or it's called meat? I can't remember what it's called. There's another one. I'll think of it. Deli meat. You're like, oh, deli meat's got to be healthy. No, not really. It's got a lot of nitrates and nitrites to keep it fresh longer. Ham. Ham is loaded.
I like ham.
I know. Hot dogs. Now, remember, everything that I just listed, if you put this on the grill or an air fryer or anything on high heat, you are going to be creating nitrosamines, which are the carcinogens. So, hot dogs on the grill, nobody ever does that. It's probably better to go ahead and boil them rather than to throw them on the grill.
That's foul.
I know. If you really want to get fancy with it, you can boil them in beer. That's not bad. Pepperoni.
Make some beer versed?
Yeah, I do brats.
Okay.
But brats aren't like the same thing as hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dogs are everything but the snout, everything but the squeal.
Yeah,
it is the snout.
A conglomeration of pig parts. Yep.
Terrible. Pepperoni.
Okay.
Salami and sausages. So, bratwurst. Is bratwurst a sausage? I think it is actually. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty much any meat product that's not just meat directly on the grill is a high risk of creating nitrosamines. And then I was like, okay, wonderful. What else would I put in there on the grill? And there are vegetables that contain nitrates and nitrites. Leafy vegetables and roots. So, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, cucumber, endive, fennel, leek, lettuce, parsley, pumpkin, red beetroot, and spinach. Now, red beetroot is beets. I just call them beets, right?
Mm.
Okay. I had to stare at that and I'm like, am I overthinking this? It's a lower risk of basically, if you put those on the grill, you have a lower risk of creating the nitrosamines because the amino acid content is lower.
Okay.
All right. So that was like, okay. So you can grill your vegetables and you don't have to worry, even though they have high nitrate nitrites.
Hibachi is safe.
Hibachi is safe.
Hibachi is safe.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
That's good.
It's
That's
safe.
Good.
Okay. But another rabbit hole.
Oh boy.
Have you ever heard of acrylamides?
I have not.
All right. Basically, when you ever had toast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the best? What is the best part of the toast? Like, what makes it so magically different than just a piece of bread out of the package? The brown toasted crunch.
Yeah, like the golden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the acrylamides. So
Okay.
basically, the acrylamides it's a chemical, it's a change that happens to primarily carbohydrates when
Okay.
they're like superheated.
Makes sense.
I'm like, well, that's the best part. You have a s'more, you've got to score, you go until the outside of the marshmallow is brown
Like golden.
or black if you just don't care.
If you're a heathen.
Just set the thing on fire. If it's black, you are definitely getting acrylamides.
Oh yeah.
But as soon as I basically found out that as soon as it starts to change its color, that's the creation of the acrylamides.
Huh.
Yep. Bizarre known fact. So we were talking about how, yes, grilled beets are safe, but you could have a risk of acrylamides, which are carcinogens. And I asked the question, what kind of carcinogen? Like, what does it cause? And I'm thinking, all right, it's acrylamide. You eat it. It's got to be like stomach, liver, kidney, colon, right?
Right.
No,
Mm.
that was not what came up first.
Okay.
Breast cancer, endometrial cancers, and ovarian cancers. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So it sounds like acrylamides are really bad for women.
Yeah.
So be real careful if you see your significant other chowing down on s'mores
So,
or
honey,
toast.
No more toast.
No more toast, baby. I love you too much. It's crazy.
So like the level of the type of carcinogen it is it like the diet soda kind of carcinogen where it's like
Well, a carcinogen's a carcinogen.
that's true, but like isn't it like you have to have like 60 diet sodas a day for it
Yeah.
to be like
So, and yes, in most cases, and I tell people this all the time, because they're like, I've been drinking this water for 20 years. I'm like, well, your water that's great. Just keep on doing that. And then eventually you're going to wonder why you're sick.
Mhm.
And then you're going to look back and go, why did I do that for 20 years? So it's not an immediate change.
Mhm.
You're not going to poison yourself overnight,
right.
usually. You got cyanide poisoning. Oh, cyanide poisoning. I said cyanide poisoning and there was a note. Nitrite, sodium nitrite specifically, if you get cyanide poisoned, sodium nitrite is an antidote.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
I just happened to stumble upon that. Maybe it was the back of my mind. But anyway, you don't get poisoned overnight.
Yeah.
It's long-term exposure,
It's
to
like
your point.
It's a big compound thing.
When they get cancers in rats, they didn't just give them one dose.
Right.
They gave them like a dose a day for who knows how long. So, yes, it's one of those things you just want to limit your exposure.
Yeah.
And you want to be
Moderation.
aware. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that we do, it's to open somebody's eyes and go, huh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
And if you can do one thing differently over the course of the rest of your life, maybe this will make an impact. So that's my thought on how we're going to be immortal. So how do these things get in our water? Well, obviously we've got fish that are pooping
Yeah.
and they're making ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And it also gets in our water from fertilizer runoff. Because like I said, the end result of all of those things is to feed primarily plants. So I'm sure you've been around, there's plenty of yards out here that have the yard service that's going out there just spraying the shit out of the yard.
Yeah.
Or they got the sprinkles. And the rain comes down like we've had. And a lot of that stuff just gets whoosh, washed right into the ditch, down into the waterways, and ends up finding its way into the James River. And for, I think it's 3 million Virginians, that's where we get our drinking water from. So yes, fertilizer runoff is a massive source of this. Manure, because it comes from waste products primarily. And then the final one, which is just, ugh. So far you're like, manure, it's no big deal. It's a farm. It's fertilizer runoff. It's just stuff out of the grass. The third largest contributor to contamination comes from septic tanks. Yuck. All the stuff that, dogs, cats, horses don't use the toilet. So septic tank contamination comes from us. 100%.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, what are the levels? What is the EPA's maximum contaminant level? Nitrite, 1 part per million. Nitrate, 10 parts per million. Interesting.
Yeah.
Everything that we've said so far, I would have guessed that nitrite was the worst one. Actually, just made a fool of myself because yes, it is the worst one because the level's only 1. Or, yes, the level's 1 on that, 10 on nitrates. So I confuse myself sometimes. Oh. I like to use a little humor when we're out in the field.
Yeah.
And people are like, nitrates won't hurt me. I'm like, look, they kill cows. If cows get too much nitrates, boom, they're dead.
Yeah.
So if it can kill a cow, it can definitely do damage to a person. So yes, nitrates are nothing to play around with. How do you fix it? Ion exchange, but not just any water softener. It has to be what's called selective ion exchange. There's a specific resin that has to be used that's very effective at removing nitrates. You can use reverse osmosis, which is by far the best, most reliable, and most economical way to do it, or electrodialysis. Yeah, that reminds me of the dialysis clinics cleansing people's blood. That just does not sound like something you'd want in your house. So that is how we fix it. Oh my gosh. We've already blown through an hour.
This is a good episode, though.
Well,
Very informative episode.
That's good. I didn't even talk about ammonia, like, specifically. It was all more about the process and our chit-chat. You know what? Well, we'll spend another minute going over ammonia.
Yeah.
So ammonia. All right. I already said basically it's 80% of our air out there. We can't really use it in the form that it surrounds us in. So it can turn into NH3 or it can turn into NH4. NH3 is the ammonia one. And the NH3 is in a higher pH environment. NH4 is lower pH, more acidic, if you're trying to figure that one out in terms of the acid level. So dissolved oxygen levels can definitely impact the levels of ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. And that's because, remember, the difference between the ammonia and the nitrite and the nitrate is you're progressively adding oxygen to it. So it makes sense that if your dissolved oxygen in the environment is low, it's going to have a harder time doing the process. So we sometimes test for dissolved oxygen level, and that impacts a lot of things that we do. But for this, basically ammonia levels can rise if you have low levels of DO. Seasonality can impact the ammonia levels in your water due to plants. So in this, growing season, around here in the wintertime, plants aren't really thriving. Water's cold, they just kind of die off. But when it's warm, the plants are using a lot of this stuff up. And actually in the warmer temperatures, ammonia doesn't do so well in the water. It doesn't like to be in there too much. It likes cooler water. So seasonality can definitely impact how ammonia shows up. Sediments can generate ammonia because they can drop your oxygen levels. Basically, a lot of heavy, just silty garbage at the bottom can cause a dense, oxygen depleted environment, and it just gets all funky. I'm sure you've dug in a lake or a river, and you got that mud that you're just like, this is gross.
It's like slimy.
Yeah, it's
weird.
like clay.
Yeah.
It's just gross. Ugh. So yeah, that kind of mud, don't play with. Health impacts of ammonia specifically. You're gonna love this. Loss of equilibrium. I guess you get silly. Skin burn. Have you ever spilled ammonia on yourself? It's kind of bad. Hyperexcitability. I love that word. Hyperexcitability. It's like they took excitability and they just like put it on steroids.
Yeah.
So really, really friggin' excited. Increased breathing. Makes sense because somebody's unconscious, they snap that little ammonia packet, and all of a sudden you're hyper excited, your breathing increases. Unfortunately, it causes lesions in your blood vessels. That's no bueno. It does cause mucus secretions. Yeah, you ever sniffed one of those things? Your nose starts running? That's why. It's not your imagination. Respiratory irritation. I'm laughing because this last one is so, it just sounds so just la la la. Mass mortality. Basically everybody dies.
I mean,
I read that part, I'm like, geez.
okay.
That's like bang. That's it. No more. Mass mortality. Everybody dies. So don't play around with ammonia.
Yeah.
And hopefully that was worth the extra 6 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
All right. Hopefully we entertained you and gave you an extra 6 minutes of commuting time for the folks that I know listen while they're driving and count on a 1 hour drive, but now you're probably late to work. We will catch you on the next commute. Thank you again. Ethan and I say be safe and drink better water.